Hello friends. Today I recently saw Suicide Squad, and let me just tell you that once again our faithful critics are wrong. I wouldn't recommend shutting down Rotten Tomatoes, it won't do anything, but the critics are certainly wrong about this being a bad movie, because Suicide Squad is a very entertaining, fun action film, but it has a couple of flaws to go along with it, I'm not going to deny. But anyways, let's get to the story. The story of the Suicide Squad revolves around the ending of Batman vs. Superman, which I will not spoil. And after the events of that movie, a government agent named Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, she basically constructs this task force made of a bunch of criminals. This includes Deadshot, played by Will Smith, Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, El Diablo, played by Jane Hernandez, and a couple of other guys that you would remember from DC Comics. They basically have to go into Midway City in order to stop an unknown threat that apparently none of the other heroes and metahumans of the DC Universe are bothered to handle. That's basically the story. The story, for the most part, is actually sort of an excuse plot to get these criminals together into this scenario. But one thing that the film does well is it manages to adapt these characters very well because of the actors and the writing. Let's start with the characters I like the most. Obviously, Will Smith is Deadshot. He's arrogant, he's cocky, he's got tons of reasons to be arrogant and cocky, but he's also got an emotional side when it comes to his relationship with his young daughter. And of course, Will Smith is able to pull off both of his unlikable and likable traits very well. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. She's also great. She's able to get the accent down. She's able to act like a total nutcase. She's basically Harley personified. Speaking of which, her boy toy Puddin', the Joker, played by Jared Leto, is also very good. He's not as good as the Heath Ledger Joker, but the thing I like about Jared is that he doesn't try to be the Heath Ledger Joker. He tries to be a totally different Joker who's different from the other ones that we've seen in film, and honestly, I would have liked to see more of him. I know it's odd considering I was apprehensive against him playing the role, but after seeing him do it so well, I actually like the way he played the Joker, and he should have been given more scenes than just, the 5 or 6 that he was given in this movie. Even though he steals every single scene he is in, because that's just the power of Jared Leto. Another standout character, in my opinion, was El Diablo, played by Jay Hernandez. One of the only criminals who isn't really an unlikable character because he's actually given a sympathetic past, and most of the time he just wants to stay out of the fight. Really only using his powers when he absolutely needs to. He's a sympathetic character, and Jay Hernandez does a good job playing him. Now, the effects in this movie are sort of a mixed bag. Some of them look really, really awesome, especially the neon colors throughout the film. It's a very colorful film for one with such dark themes and with such initially unlikable characters on purpose. But I actually like that aesthetic. It's sort of like Deadpool. It's fun to look at and fun to watch, even though, the person that you're rooting for isn't the best of overall people. But in the case of Deadpool, he's an anti-hero. With these guys, they're just criminals who are doing this to avoid having their heads blown off. Speaking of which, the other criminals aren't given that much screen time, but some did surprise me. The guy who plays Killer Croc is reasonably menacing. Karen Fukuhara, who plays Katana, completely understands her character and her badass nature. And Jai Courtney is surprisingly not that bad as Captain Boomerang. It's like they chose a completely different actor to play his character. The visuals of the movie, some of them are really cool looking, others look like CGI for a video game. The villain for the movie, I will not spoil, but let's just say she's given very little character development. She has a very plain take over the world plot, and her battle at the end is somewhat disappointing. If you've seen the trailers, you probably know who the villain is, but I'm not going to spoil it. Let's just say it was a final battle that reminded me more of Gods of Egypt than Suicide Squad. And anything related to Gods of Egypt is not something that I want to see in a DC movie. But when the film's trying to be action-packed and funny and full of moments that you'd expect from DC, it is a really good, entertaining film. But I understand why the critics don't like it. The editing is sometimes off. It's not as bad as Fantastic Four, where it feels like a reel is missing from the movie, but it's noticeable. It feels like some scenes have been cut, I guess for runtime, but it makes certain plot elements feel a bit underdeveloped. Not to I also mentioned that the Joker is not given as much screen time as he should have gotten, and in my opinion, some characters felt a little wasted. Like Slipknot. You'll see the movie for yourself, but Slipknot's role is so limited, I was thinking, why did they even put him there? But if all you're looking for fans is for fan service in this DC movie, there's a ton here. And you might even say it makes up for a lot of the problems based on how much fan service there is. If you're a fan of Batman the Animated Series or the comics, you'll see tons of throwbacks to those classic things. And there's even cameos from both Batman and The Flash. I will not spoil them, but let's just say they're sort of Link and you'll miss them. They're mainly there to, have this film exist in the DC universe and to keep reminding us about the Justice League. So, overall, the Suicide Squad movie is flawed, but I found it very, very fun. It had tons of great actors, great humor, and in my opinion, a very eclectic soundtrack. In fact, I might have to pick up the soundtrack after it comes out. So, overall, I give Suicide Squad a 7.5 out of 10. Don't listen to the critics, watch it for yourself, and enjoy it. Good night.